Welcome to the video of my workbench build. As you can see, I started with a sketch just to get my ideas down on paper and solidify them in my mind. In the sketch there I have the bench in its two configurations, square and long, and I'm just picking out a bit of detail to show how the pocket hole joinery will hold it together. Then I moved on to doing the 3D model. I used a free piece of software called SketchUp. It's super easy and just runs on your browser. I find these models really help me establish an order of operations and sort out how I'm going to build the thing before I actually start cutting wood. At the start here, I just thought I'd show a little of how you build the thing in SketchUp, and then shortly we'll jump forward in time. And I've completed the first half, and you can see the wheels going on there. Then it's just a copy paste job to get the other half. I wanted to show me putting on the hardware, the hinges and bolts, as I think it says a lot about how this workbench is going to work. And you can see the bolt going on there. And then I'm just adding the vices, just to show what the final workbench will look like. And some beauty shots, just to do a bit of a 360 and give an idea of what I'm trying to create. So here I am unloading the wood into the workshop. I wanted to show just how much material goes into producing something like this. And yeah, there I am making several trips. First of all with the legs material, then some side wood, and then finally plywood and MDF sheets for the top and bottom. Next up we have some shots of me cutting the wood. I can't afford a proper miter saw, so I bought this cheap hand operated model, and it is crap. Well, it gives accurate cuts, but it's a pig to use. And you can see me there just using one leg to measure out the others. And that's just another shot of me cutting a leg. And this shot just shows a collection of all the wood cut up for the first half of the bench. The legs at the back, then the long sides and the short sides. Next up we have here, we're drilling some pocket holes. The bench is put together using pocket hole joinery completely. I specifically didn't want to glue and screw, as I wanted this bench to be easy to take apart. And as you'll see in a second, those pocket holes go in at an angle, allowing the screw to penetrate through the pieces of wood. And here's the classic blowing sawdust shot. I just had to include that somewhere. Then we start to assemble the pieces, and I'm just offering up the short sides to the legs. I'm using Craig 2-inch pocket hole screws, just as the wood we're dealing with is a bit chunky. And there we have the two sides assembled and ready to be put on the long sides on. I had some problems keeping everything flush, as I'm working on an uneven surface, but I think we managed to do a pretty decent job. And yeah, you can see the screws going in there. Time for the other side, got to flip it over. And in a second here, you'll see I actually injure myself putting these screws in. I got my thumb trapped between the two pieces of wood. There we are. And yeah, there's the damage. Now we're going to install the bottom shelf. I'm just cutting some holes to allow space for the legs. As you can see, they're just 100mm by 100mm squares. And there's one of the offcuts. And it's a nice tight fit when I put it together there. And now it's time to put on the two tops. So the first layer is just a 3mm thick piece of plywood, and we just screw that directly into the legs and sides. Next up, it's the MDF top piece that will be the actual work surface. And I just used MDF there just to keep costs down, but I'll replace that with plywood at some point in the future. And there I am, just clamping it in place. And I'm going to screw up from the underneath so that the work surface itself will just be completely flat. And here I am just putting the casters on. As you can see, they're pretty heavy duty and have a lock on them so that the bench won't move around when I don't want it to. And here I am with the completed first half, and as if by magic, the second half appears. Next up, it's time to install the vise. I'm just showing it off here. It's a record number 52E. It has seen better days, but it's super nice to be able to give an old tool a second life. And the first job here is to chisel out a recess for the vise to slot into in the side of the bench. Doing that means the chucks will sit flush with the top of the bench, and that's definitely desirable. I'm just nibbling away here as it's kind of like giving a haircut. You know, you can always take more off, but you can't put it back on. And here I am just offering it up just to see how much material I have left to take off. And just a little bit more to go. And offering it up again, and this time it's completely flush. Time now to bolt the vise in. I've added some more of the side wood there just to give me something to bolt the vise into, and I'm pre-drilling some 7.5mm holes, and then I'll use some 8mm bolts with a couple of washers on there, And this gives a really secure hold, and that's a good thing because this old vise weighs about 10 kilos. And then the hinges go on. We're nearing completion now. And there you can see the beauty shots of the completed bench. I decided not to put the engineer's vise on as it would spoil the flat work surface. And there it is going to fold up in a little second into its long configuration. And there's definitely a couple of things that I would do differently if I was building this again. For one, I would use all plywood, I wouldn't use MDF. But okay, thanks for watching.